Folks, can you believe after 3 long years, the corona pandemic is over? No more coronavirus. What they do? Catch a little bug, put it in a bottle, and stick it on the shelf. As far as I know, it's still running around out there, but they say it's over. Or did it really ever begin? And I know right now you saying that I'm crazy. Well, maybe a little bit crazy sometimes, but the guru never did buy into the fear and the hype this thing produced. Because at the beginning, uh, the president, Donald Trump, he tried to stop it. He told them that nobody come in this country if they was from one of them countries that had some of this stuff. Well, they got plumb mad at that poor man, and they talked all bad things about him and called him all kinds of names and told him he had to let that virus come in. He couldn't do that. He couldn't keep it out. So they did. It got here and it spread across the country like wildfire. Well, that right there told the guru that they weren't really serious about it 'cause they didn't even believe it at that time. And then all of a sudden now they made a pandemic later. But there's a reason for that. The first thing that happened was as it went through from city to city, as people were taking it to each town and dumping it out, I guess. I don't know how it got there so fast, but it did. And the news media jumped on it with both feet. I mean, they publicized this thing like it was end of time if everybody was going to die. Because they know now, the news media ain't dumb. They know that fear sells ads and gets people to watch their channel. And that's why they did it. They had folks just scared plumb to death. They'd bring on all these experts. Supposedly this virus was new. So how could they be experts on a virus they didn't know nothing about? But they did. They come in there and they told how, if you don't do everything that they tell you to do, you're gonna die. And folks was glued to themselves, and them Benjamins went up. And if you don't know what I mean about the Benjamins, follow the money, folks. Well, that started what the guru calls the Benjamin virus or the Benjamin pandemic, whichever one you want to call it. Well, then the bureaucrats up there in Washington and all those politicians, they kind of got notice that, hey, that news media got these folks scared to death. If we can just get this test kit done and we start jobbing people in the nose with it and find out if they got some of that virus in them already, that we might be able to do something here. Well, that's what they did. They went out and they recruited one of the top elite experts on contagious diseases. Now, a lot of you may not remember the old Dr. Fauci, or as the guru calls him, Dr. Fucci. He was a top expert on the AIDS virus, the HIV virus, back a few years back when it was first come out. And him and the other ones, they had people so scared they wouldn't even go use the toilet in a public place without putting plastic or paper on the toilet seat, because they had convinced folks that little bug gonna jump up out of that toilet into their privates. Well, same person, I guess they figured he would be the best one to do this, because the plan was to scare people even more than what they were scared now. And he did so good there. Well, let's get him to come up here and head this thing up. And that's what they did. They got him up there, and then they come up with a plan. They said, well, yeah, we need to get in on this here fear factor that the news media has got up. So the first thing they did was they started testing people. And now, folks, I ain't saying that the virus didn't exist. It did. I'm convinced of that. There was a virus running around. But have we ever, in your memory, tested folks and then publicized the results? Now, kind of like when the guru goes fishing. If I throw my hook in the pond enough times, I'm going to catch fish. But if you poke enough Q-tips up folks' nose, you're going to find some of that little bug in one of them noses. And they would test millions of people in a day. And people would line up in droves to go get tested. Some of them had to so they could travel, or they were told they had to. But they would line up in droves to go get tested. And they come out with these numbers, how many people tested positive. Now, they didn't say they got sick. They just tested positive for it. Some did get sick, I'm sure, and some didn't. But then they come up with a brainstorm. Let's shut down the country. Let's just take and close every business. And that way we'll leave open these with stock. That's the only thing the guru can figure out why they didn't close them big chain store, grocery stores, and them big box stores, because they had stock in them, and there was a possibility of making money. Now I ain't sitting here and saying that that's what they did was to go so they could make money. But now they go up there to Washington and they come out millionaires and they only make a little bit over 100,000 a year. So you telling me how they do all that? And they may not have, I mean, like I say, I'm not here to accuse anybody of doing that, but somebody made a lot of money off of that because them there chain store, grocery stores, and them box stores, their profits went through the roof. So that means their stock went up, and folks have had stock in it now. And who knows who had stock in it, but that stock went through the roof. Well, that there rode on for quite a while, and the whole time Dr. Fucci, he was up there scaring people even more, telling them how, you're going to die any day if you don't listen to everything we tell you. And we're going to cover some of that ridiculous stuff that he come up with later on in another video. So y'all be sure to subscribe to the channel and check in on it. Well, they run that for as long as they could get away with it, and then they come up with this vaccine. Now, normally it takes anywhere from 4 to 5 years for any drug to get on the market in the United States. They got to test it. I mean, it is good that they test it. We don't want them to give us a drug and all of a sudden some parts of our body go to falling off because we took this drug they didn't test. Not with this, folks. They just got these 3 companies to produce these drugs, and they started jobbing people within 6 months. They had no idea when they stuck that needle in your arm and pumped that stuff in you whether your arm was going to fall off or stay on. They didn't know. They didn't test it. They didn't know whether it was even going to work. But they told you it was. Oh yeah, we got on TV and told you that if you didn't take this here drug, you hated people and you wanted to kill everybody because you didn't want to take this vaccine. And if you take it, you don't have to worry about it no more. You can go party, go do whatever you want to because you got the vaccine and can't get the virus. That lasted about what, 10 days? As soon as they started vaccinating people, they still kept getting the virus. Well, then they wanted to blame it on a mutating of the virus and called it something else. So they keep it going for another year or so. And it went on, and then they said, well, being the first, shot in the arm didn't work, we'll do some booster shots, which means more money because them things weren't free, folks. Somebody made money off of them. And each time they stuck that needle in there, the Benjamins was flowing. So let's say there's what, 300 or 400 million people in the United States. So you figure even if they got half of them to take that their first shot, and then they got them to take the 2 or 3 after that, how many Benjamins they made? That's all about the Benjamins, folks. But evidently the cows dried up, so they done told us now that we don't have to worry about it. It's over, and we can go on about our business and do what we need to do. But y'all tune in, because like I said, Guru's going to go over some more of the ridiculous stuff that they come up with this virus and what they made people do that to this day, the Guru shakes his head and can't believe that it happened in this country. Y'all have a wonderful day.